Hello everyone and welcome back to First Web Designer Show. Today we have an interesting and very slow episode. As much as I try to slow down, I can't always do it perfectly. But I try harder and harder because I recently found out the real importance of it, slowing down, being in present, sometimes forgetting about all the technology as much as it is a big part of our lives. I mentioned it many times, but I'm no expert at this. But today I have expert on the show with me. His name is Joel, and he's one of the most simplest guys, one of the most slowest, if I can say, if you look at it as a compliment. But welcome on the show, Joel.
Hey, thanks a ton for having me, James. We're going to have some fun.
Yeah, I hope so, because obviously a lot of people think, how can living without technology, or at least thinking, forgetting about technology, slowing down and being quiet and present be fun? It's always parties, loudness, that's fun. So you're going to show us the fun side of simplicity and being present. And to start off, perhaps share your own little brief story. What happened? Because as I know, you were not always like this.
No. By the way, I'm all about, so there's dichotomies here. There's the slowness, the intense gratitude of life, and then there's the just getting out there and being vibrant and being you. I wear bright red shirts and I'm a pretty vibrant dude, but I also know how to just chill the heck out and slow life down. You're right, though. It's relatively recent. I'm 35 years old, and it was about almost 5 years ago to the day when my wife, Melinda, she told me that she was pregnant with our first son, Grant. And at that point in time, I was working in corporate America. I had been for a decade. I was working in the financial industry purely for the paycheck. I mean, I was all about the money. And then when Melinda told me that she was pregnant with our first son, Grant, literally, James, for the first time in my life, I stopped. Not physically, but mentally and emotionally. I thought, where am I going? How can I become a good papa to this kid who's going to be coming along in 8 months? And I realized a ton of things needed to change. I mean, I was staying up, you've probably heard this before, but for the folks who don't know me, I was staying up until 3 o'clock in the morning, routinely playing a video game called World of Warcraft. Waking up at 6 in the morning, assuming that I actually slept. Sometimes I didn't. And then going to work for 11 hours at a job that I hated. And there's nothing wrong with the corporate thing. I just realized I would not be physically present for my kid if I continued on this track. And worse, I wouldn't be emotionally available to him. And that thought just devastated me, like totally devastated me. And I realized you got 8 months roughly to turn the ship around. So I quit video games that day. I haven't played in 5 years, although I'd like to. I know I can't. There are certain things that I need to abstain from. I don't know if anyone else who's watching or listening can sympathize, but I do terrible with moderation. So I have these, not necessarily extremes, but when I'm doing something, I am doing it. Whether it's meditation or whether it's a lifestyle decision like paleo or simple living or minimalism, I'm all into that kind of stuff. And ever since that time, over the last 5 years, I've had this personal renaissance, if you will, and made some crucial decisions about not just my life, but how I can be valuable, how I can be generous and a giver as opposed to I used to be just a taker.
Wow, that's a biggie. It's Yeah, actually one thing that is in common with these kind of stories, is a drastic turning point because you are forced to take action. Like for instance, for you, you are about to become a papa, so you had to make a decision and make some change. So I believe this is what we are trying to again prevent people from, prevent them from being forced to take action. So while you have time, introduce it slowly, Yeah, so maybe we can actually jump straight into what simplicity really means, because especially for you, it might actually, I understand, be quite hard because, like you said, you're not about moderation, you are all in. But this is not necessarily what you recommend to everyone, it's just the way you are.
Right.
You could easily recommend people to have the right balance.
Yeah, for everyone who's like me, there's other folks who are more sage and beige, just kind of calm and cool, maybe a little bit more introverted, and they do well with very slow progressions of things. I could recommend tons of resources for them that are kind of in minimalism, simplicity circles. Joshua Becker of Becoming Minimalist, for example, if they want to do some bite-sized stuff. Mohammed Tohami of Midway Simplicity. These people are pretty middle of the road, not too objectionable, like not so in your face, and they're pretty good. From my personal perspective, though, when I think about simple living, a lot of it has to do with this concept of enough. So how do I define what's enough? How do I define what's enough money? How do I define what's enough kids? I have 2. That's enough, by the way. I'm done. 2 boys, Grant and Clark, and that's good. How do I have enough community and enough relationships in my life? And I've gotten to the point where by constantly challenging myself, and I ask myself literally every day, James, what is it that you need? And then I do experiments. All the things that I think I need, like watching American football on Sundays. I gave that up for a short period of time to think, is my life better or worse now that I've stripped away some of this potential excess? And I realized I like my Sundays a lot better now that I don't watch football. I've reclaimed a lot of that time, and then either I can reallocate it to other things that are meaningful to me. Maybe that's studying on Node.js or trying to learn Ruby on Rails or one of those things. Or maybe it's having more time with my family or with my friends. So it's that constant challenging of myself. Initially, other people had to do it for me. I needed blogs and podcasts and videos and friends to push me and be like, dude, what is it that you really want? What is it that you really need? Now I can do that for myself. And I'm constantly experimenting, sometimes big, sometimes small, with testing my assumptions. Do I actually need this? Is my life better without it? And a lot of times the answer is, whether it's certain relationships or certain activities, my life is better without it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really glad you mentioned word want, because, obviously there's this big thing about want versus need. So you mentioned about what it is that you need. Sorry, I do apologize. Need, yes, you said. Because there are so many things we would want to, but do we really need them? And so when we talk about simplicity, what are those things that we really need in our life, and things that we can cut off, not talking about extremes, like simple things. Perhaps we need a bit of peace and quiet in mornings, maybe every hour. Maybe we need to get rid of gadgets because we don't actually need them. Maybe share your take on that.
Yeah, it's a great question. It's a great prompt. I'd actually like to hear your take on it too, if we got a second after I'm done. So what is it that I need? As a human being, there are certain things that my body, mind, and spirit expect of me. They almost demand that I give it to them. And in the past, when I've deprived my body of, say, being outside, like outside over here, it's sunny, it's a beautiful day here in Minneapolis, St. Paul, in Minnesota. And after we're done talking, I've already been outside for an hour walking my dogs. I'm going to go outside again before the kids and my wife get home and before I start making dinner, because as a human, although I'm domesticated significantly, inside, I'm still a wild creature. And my body, my mind expect me to be outside, even when it's wicked cold. So I'm that crazy guy when it's negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit, wind chill. I'm the only one at the dog park with the dogs. And I'm doing it for the dogs, but I'm doing it also for me. Like, I need to be outside constantly. If it's raining, if it's snowing, it doesn't matter. So that's some of the things, and this kind of gets into, there's great overlap between simplicity circles and paleo circles, like viewing our lives from evolutionary biology or from an ancestral perspective, because whether you want to trace it back to major changes with agriculture or the Industrial Revolution, we as humans haven't evolved all that much in the grand scheme of things. So what we needed 10,000 years ago are still the same things that we need today. It's just a lot harder to get them because we're just so busy and go, and let's commit and let's do this and that and be productive. A lot of times we don't get very far with that level of commitment.
Yeah, I think it's also because of this thing, there's this guy, Brian Fanzo, who calls it FOMO, fear of missing out.
Yeah.
Especially because of all the technology, all the things popping up. You need to be there, If you're not there, you're going to miss it out. What people are going to think of you. Yeah, interesting.
So tell, what do you need? Like, what do you feel deep in your bones right now that are a couple of the biggest things that you need that maybe in the past you've recognized and it's been creeping up on you, and now it's just, hey, this has to happen?
Oh, I mean, I've had drastic changes, to be honest. But one thing you perhaps don't know, I've noticed, I'm actually very minimalistic as well. You know, I just have one type of shirt, that's it, just this, and one type of denim, you know, trousers, and that's it. I don't need much. I have a laptop and a microphone. That's regards, you know, I don't know, running business. One thing as connected, you know, animals, human beings, I realize you need more and more is connections, is people, genuine love, giving. That's one thing that is hugely crucial in my life, which I had cut out of my life for many years, and I couldn't figure out why am I not moving forward. And things changed once I welcomed people in. Yeah, I don't really need that much, you know. Yeah, basic food. You know, I used to say my favorite drink is water, you know, and my favorite saying, which I have changed a little bit now, was what do I hate? I hate money, I used to say. But I realized it's not really the right approach towards money. I just realized that it's I just need a little bit of it. I don't need a lot of it.
Right. Yeah, I like I said before, I was all about the money, and now perhaps I've moved a little bit too far to the other end of the spectrum. I have some aversions to making a pretty healthy income. Just like a lot of people who are watching, I'm a solo entrepreneur. I've been doing it for the last 3 years, but my role these days is to help people simplify, is to help them just chill the heck out and slow down. And what happens when you do that? Well, your self-awareness increases, your ability to be grateful with what you have skyrockets, your ability to be content with your relationships as opposed to trying to get happiness from your stuff, which never gives it to you because there's always something better. Whereas in your relationships, like when you have a best friend and you actually get to spend good time with them, there's a reason why we call that best friend our best friend. There's probably nothing better. Unlike with the things that are around us with our stuff, there's always going to be something better. So if you can concentrate on the things that are already amazing and you don't need to challenge yourself to go find the next thing that's just a little bit better, man, a whole new world opens up to you.
No, that's exactly, man. Especially, you know, our community, web designers, web developers, it's all about, you know, gadgets, latest trends, latest this, latest that, and as useful as it is, it can't give you long-term satisfaction. It could give you a spike, of course, you know, but long-term satisfaction, long-term fulfillment perhaps is what we all are after, and perhaps, you know, we are midway through the show, and perhaps we can dive into more actionable talk, perhaps, you know, 3 to 5 real actionable things that people can implement, take away from the show and be like, man, thank you, Joel. I want to kiss you. I want to send you a love letter. I want to, where do you live? I want to hug you.
Hugs are great, by the way. Okay, let's start with that. That's, and I know you were kind of joking here. One of the biggest changes that I've made is I've become a hugger. And my friends joke about it now is when I meet people, my standard thing is, for the first time, is hug, high five, or handshake. So I give them an option. Like everybody goes for the handshake. They're like, hey, what's up? I'm like, but hold on, hug, high five, or handshake. When you hug somebody, even a stranger, and I know some people are going to be thinking there, what? You hug strangers? Yes, I hug strangers. The physical contact, the level of intimacy, just in that one super simple act, your path to friendship, your path to meaningful connection changes radically just by that one simple act. So I'm not telling everybody that they need to hug everyone else, but if they want to experiment a little bit, that is one great place to start, is ditch the handshake, maybe high five if you're not the hugging type, but if you can start giving people hugs, maybe even giving people hugs, your family, where you don't normally do that. And I know part of that is a cultural thing too, is at least in my culture, it's generally accepted. Whereas there are other cultures in the world, you just simply can't do that. So I'm not trying to tell anybody that they need to break any cultural taboos. I'm just asking them to think, to challenge that assumption of what the appropriate greeting is, whether it's for strangers or whether it's for the people that you love. So that's number one right there.
And actually, if I may comment, yeah, I actually can resonate with you. I've seen, and I know so many people who don't even spend time, just with giving a hug to their family, to their closest ones. Not even that. I don't know what it is, but that's definitely one of the things. Another one that caught my attention was you said when you walk up to strangers, you give them option. Which one of those? So I imagine you walking around with a piece of paper and say, choose which one you want.
I don't, but I should.
Yeah, a menu. There's today's menu. Please do your pick.
That's right. Hopefully, hugs are at the top. That's the default option.
Big
you
bold,
don't tell me otherwise. That's what's happening.
Yeah, man. All right then. Second.
There's the second one is probably more for the folks who are watching. I have started to do morning rituals where instead of checking my phone right away or getting into work and productivity and emails and Twitter and my websites and all that kind of stuff, I read, basically I start with meditation. If people aren't meditating yet, my friend Christopher Carter of This Epic Life, who's one of the most amazing people I'll ever meet for sure, he talks about people who don't meditate, who don't think they have time for meditation. Those are the people who need meditation the most. And he's totally right. I used to be somebody who didn't think that I had time for it. And then I realized I don't have time not to meditate, not to just completely stop, to close my eyes and focus on the breath. If it's 5 minutes, if it's an hour, the fact that I'm committed to myself, that I'm respecting myself enough to set that tone very first thing in the morning is amazing. So, and then I kind of layer that on with some visualization. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just kind of playing around with it in my head, literally and figuratively. I don't know the science behind visualization. And then reading promises. So I have these sets of promises that I now read to myself every single morning. It takes me about 5 minutes about the type of person I am, the types of things I do and don't do, and I read them aloud so that when it comes time to make a difficult decision, maybe there is no decision to make because either I am fundamentally the type of person who does do this or who doesn't do that. And by one of those things in my promises is I will not allow the world to invade my brain until the important work is done. And by invade my brain, I mean email and social media and all these other things, which, James, is hard, man. As an extrovert, as somebody who loves human connection, I want that. But before I allow myself to dive into that world, I do the important work that needs to get done. And my productivity has just skyrocketed as a result of it. And just the way that I interact with people and go about the day has been huge. So try, whether you use technology, something like self-control or other kinds of tools, blockers of certain websites, or whether you put your phone on airplane mode, whatever you need to do, starting the morning out with a set of rituals that doesn't have you on autopilot, that you do intentionally, is a really cool thing.
If I have I have a question now about this second step, meditation in particular. You know, there are so many resources, so much talk about meditation, this kind of meditation, that kind of meditation. People never done it, so obviously since you have never done it, it seems so scary. But then accidentally I stumbled upon Dalai Lama's website, and he says that the best and simplest form of meditation is sleep. So what's your take on how would you suggest people to start off? You know, I like what you said, sometimes just close your eyes, quiet, concentrate on your breath for 5 minutes. Yeah. Maybe, you know, what's your take on how did you even start actually yourself?
Well, so many people, I've probably seen and heard similar things to you, where it just got to the point where it became ridiculous that I wasn't meditating because I'd seen so many people just swear by it, so many blog posts and reading the science behind it, the difference in your brain from magnetic resonance imaging and all these different things. So I got started about 7 months ago, just 10 minutes a morning. And I have an app on my phone. It's called Insight Timer, which is a series of different bells that ring at different intervals. Really simple stuff. And it works really well because my mind is constantly floating away. So those bells pull me back into it. As for sleep, though, this is one of the things that I am super curious about, and I would love to see some research happen over the next 5 years. I do have a couple of friends who swear that meditation is just as good as sleep. So when a lot of people say that they don't have time to meditate, my two friends feel that way. They wake up early to meditate, and they feel that even though they're sleeping less, they're still more vibrant and active and focused because the meditation is taking the place of sleep. I don't know what to make of that yet, but that's pretty interesting stuff too.
It is, yeah, man. But then again, man, that could be even tougher if I think myself. The first thing when I wake up, I mean, I'm like, damn, I need coffee. And if you make me now and it's silent, sit down, I'll just fall asleep again. It must be harder than meditating in the middle of the day. Yeah, definitely interesting.
That's why I recommend it first thing in the morning. You might fall back asleep, but if you do, well, sleep's pretty good for you anyway. So you're at least doing something that's good for you.
Good point. Yeah, don't waste your time completely if you don't succeed at meditating at first.
Oh, there's never a waste. Like, don't judge. Your thoughts are going to be going nuts. My thoughts still go nuts. You know, it's not about having a blank brain and being in nothingness. It's about not chasing your thoughts, not being your thoughts, and just detaching yourself from what's going on, so you actually become an observer of your own body and your own mind as opposed to an active participant. Being able to detach yourself is hard. I haven't really figured it out yet, but for the people who do, it just sounds like the coolest thing to basically be a third-party observer of your own life and to rationally make decisions and to follow your thoughts. That's really cool.
Yeah, sounds cool, man. And I like your humbleness and being down to earth. Admitting that you are still work in progress. You're still getting towards this perfect meditation for yourself.
Yeah.
So
I'm a deeply flawed man. I still am. I mean, I've made significant progress in my 5 years since the personal renaissance began, but I'm still messed up in a lot of ways, and it'll take years and decades of refinement before I get to the place where hopefully I love myself all day long. There are plenty of times these days where I don't have a lot of self-compassion and I don't have self-love, and that's some things that I'm also trying to teach myself. And the more I simplify, though, the easier it is for me to not be consumed with all of these thoughts, all this negative self-talk.
Well, this is something I appreciate in you, and I believe our community, today's listener, appreciates as well. Because you don't come across as this authority, cross like in the clouds, like, man, come if you can reach me, it's like, man, he's too far, Now you are like with us, with our community, sort of big brother, come and learn with me. That's more appealing, So perhaps step number 3.
Sleep. You already hit it. I mean, that's just a natural one. I'll tell you from experience. So back in those days when I was addicted to World of Warcraft, over the course of a week, I would maybe average 3 to 4 hours of sleep. I have no idea how I functioned. I did good work. My wife didn't divorce me. My friends still interacted with me for the small amount of time that I made for them. But the difference between those 4 hours of sleep and about the 7.5 hours of sleep that I get right now, it's like I go through the world awake. I'm conscious. I'm not just a zombie drifting from one meeting to another or from one website development project to another. There are so many things that I could cite for you, James. So from science to philosophy to mindfulness circles to spirituality, but respecting myself, and this is a common theme that you're maybe picking up on, there's certain things that if I don't do them, I'm disrespecting myself, and therefore doing a disservice to every single person that I come in contact with. Sleep, man, I prioritize that over just about everything else these days, and my life is radically better in pretty much every single way that you could possibly manage it because I value sleep. So there you go. I know it's like, this dude wants me to sleep. Yes, I do. And if you change even just like an extra hour, whether you go from 5 to 6 or 7 to 8, the cognitive the cognitive difference, I should say, and the way that your level of patience with people or with inanimate objects, gosh, yeah. What about you? I mean, from a sleep perspective, have you had fluctuations up and down over the course of your life, and have you noticed big differences in terms of how you show up as a result of it?
Oh man, my sleep is messed up, Unfortunately, I can't. I'll actually need to do one more Google search to know what I'm referring to. One more thing, but it all started off by just having 4-5 hours sleep. I felt quite good. That's when I started up with this company. I produced many videos. Really hard working, and I felt good. Went to bed like 11, whatever it was, 11, sometimes midnight. Got up 3 o'clock or so, 4 in the morning. It was good. But now I'm in the Philippines, and it's really opposite time zone. So for instance, now for me to be able to do a call with you, it's 5 o'clock in the morning and I've been up all night. So I work nights, I sleep days now. So that's messed up a little bit, Even though it's funny enough, I kind of like this silence, peace, and darkness. There's no destruction. Seems like there's no destruction in the world, and I seem to be performing better because I believe I think I could be a night owl. Then I also have tried what Steve Pavlina once tried, polyphasic sleep. That didn't work out at all, man. That I was, you're supposed to like sleep every like 2 or 3 hours for like 20 minutes. As I fell asleep, I got up 2 hours later, and it never worked out. It never worked out. So I really, I think I would love to sleep again. 11, 10 maybe, and get up maybe around 5, 4. But I gotta move to a different country to do that.
Yeah.
If I want to carry on these video casts.
Do you have time for one more?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. This one's super nerdy, but of course I'm in good company here, I hope.
Yeah, of course.
Spreadsheets. Spreadsheets. Use spreadsheets, specifically the Microsoft Excel kind. I am widely known in the circles that I travel in as a spreadsheet fanatic, and I have my life in spreadsheets. And by that, I mean I curate all of the blog posts, podcasts, videos, infographics, all of the online content that I have in a one master spreadsheet, categorized and subcategorized with certain tags, the context of the article, who it could be valuable for. I know there are other people who use Evernote. Some people might use Facebook or Pinterest for kind of organizing and curating their existence, but Excel spreadsheets, super simple, like no numbers. There's no formulas or numbers in my spreadsheets. Just as simple as can be, rows and columns.
What about Google
grid.
thing?
What about Google?
Google also have whatever it's called. Google.
Oh, Google Keep.
No, alternative to Excel. There's Google Docs alternative to Word, and
yeah, Google Docs is great for collaboration, but if you're just using it as an individual, one, there's performance issues, the fact that it's in the cloud. And when you get to a spreadsheet that has, say, more than 500 rows, then the performance is pretty poor. For the power users, Google Docs, at least the spreadsheet functionality, between worksheets and tabs, you can't use formulas that interact with them. There's a number of limitations when it comes to it. There's LibreOffice, there's OpenOffice, there's Kingsoft. I mean, there's all kinds. There's Apple's Numbers. None of them are as good as Excel. And yeah, I would just say the sorting and filtering functionality of spreadsheets, you can do it in an Access database. I mean, you can do it with SQL servers. You can do it with all kinds of fun stuff. But in terms of the simplicity, there is no single tool that I use on a regular basis that's more simple and more powerful than Excel.
Wow, cool, man. This actually reminds me of, I think perhaps it's the same kind of idea. Richard Branson says he lives his life based on lists. He has a list of people, potential partners, potential business ideas, potential products, just lists like that, You can do the same on Excel. Perhaps, I don't know. I gotta see what your Excel, screen looks like. And
if people want an example, I'm happy to give them an example of that spreadsheet that I was talking about with all the good online content that I've come across over the last 4 years, and they can get an idea into the craziness that goes on in my mind and just how some people will look at it and they'll say, wow. Can you get a little bit more obsessive compulsive? And other people will look at it and say, oh my goodness, I want that too. I'll let other people judge, but if you'd like me to share an example with people so they can actually see for themselves just how easy it can be and just how nice it can be when you just can sort and filter and search and find everything at your fingertips, I'll be happy to provide it.
Yeah, man, definitely. After we finish this call, email me whether it's a screenshot or whatever, we can include it in our show notes.
I'll give you a template.
So, yeah, okay, even better. That's amazing. Yeah, cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great idea, man. Thank you very much. On a finishing note now, there's one more thing you need to do, which is a shameless plug. Where can people find you, get in touch with you?
Well, it depends. So there's two main places that I'm online. My personal online hub is valueofsimple.com. And if people want to know more about this whole curating your life in spreadsheets thing or how I practice simplicity, again, it's not the right way. I'm just doing something that works for me that could potentially be useful for other folks. They can check me out over at valueofsimple.com. What I'm really into and what I spend most of my time doing these days is with a simplicity movement. It's called Simple Rev. Simple REV, and that's the website too, simplerev.com. We've been doing events in North America for the last year or so, and we're going to continue to do more. We have one coming up on October 2nd and 3rd in Minneapolis, Minnesota, for about 100 simple living enthusiasts who are all about community building too. If folks are interested in that in-person connection, then Simple Rev might be cool for them too. And we're also, through Simple Rev, branching out into free local gatherings, hopefully around the world. We're just about to publish, as we talk, a field kit where it's a 20-page document, and if people want to build their local community around the principles of simple living, we're going to give them a field kit to become community organizers and really, really take a few steps back and slow down and find the people that really get them. So that's really exciting, and that's at simplerev.com.
And that's how you build movements, my friend, and change the world.
Hopefully.
So, yeah, definitely. That's the whole thing, isn't it? Make the whole world slow down a little bit, like you said, and being present. I enjoyed this whole thing so much that I will be so upfront and straight into your face and ask you, will you be okay with doing part 2 at some point as well?
Yes, let's absolutely do that.
Great. Thank you very much. Thanks for your time. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the next time.
Yeah, thank you too.